Good morning and welcome to this Science Pod Fireside Chat. Today I'm delighted to welcome Jose Maria Guido Avila, who is a global brand lead for HCP marketing at Sanofi. We refer to him as Chema. So just to make this more cozy between us during the discussion, we will continue this. Chema is known because he's a champion of using new technology to try and enhance the way the marketing messages or the medical education messages are shared with healthcare professionals. So today we've specifically chosen to focus on a particular pilot project we did together last June, whereby we've used AI to try and enhance content creation and distribution. So we'll dive into this during our discussion. And for the moment, what we're going to do is to give you a very brief presentation of what the project was about. So I'm going to share this video and hopefully we can hear it and see it. So
the accelerated digital transformation of the pharma industry is causing digital fatigue. Medical societies long live sessions HCPs are not able to binge watch. Sanofi partnered with 3 companies to tackle the challenge of providing evidence-based medical education to HCPs without adding to their digital fatigue. We tested 3 ways to develop content: by a human, an AI, and speech-to-text transcription, plus a human summarizing the information. Our medical teams chose the most relevant lectures among 98 sessions of the Congress. This is how the content was designed by a human. A medical writer or publicist attended the lectures live to write 1-page summaries. These summaries were sent to Sanofi for medical review and then MLR approval, and were finally sent to the country teams for local translation and dissemination by email. Science Pod brought their expertise to the content summarized by AI. By turning complex science into digestible modules so that HCPs can keep up with the latest research through snackable content for the speech-to-text content, By Health provided their experience to deliver the content in a matter of hours.
However, there are 2 considerations. We cannot study all of the members of the Gamma Curator in the web lab. And secondly, each of us carries almost a unique combinational bacteria in their guts. So therefore,
live transcription was performed using Otter.ai solutions. The human summarized the transcription, resulting into scientific, modular, relevant content, easy to digest in a couple of minutes, reaching HCPs from our key countries through emailing campaigns. But what was the impact on our customers? It took 1.2 hours for the humans to develop the content for the AI to work. Speech-to-text content took a little longer. Following MLR approval, the content was sent in 5 to 6 more hours. The human-developed content reached a 25% open rate and an NPS of 100. While the AI-developed content also had a similar open rate and an NPS of 90. A survey among HCPs exposed to the summaries evaluated the comparability of both types of content. Now we have proof of concept of the usage of AI to develop content relevant for our HCPs, and we plan to scale up its usage. Thank you.
thanks for this inspiring video, Chema. I think
Thank you.
We can start by talking about how this actual idea came about. You know, when you were thinking about using technology to enhance your marketing and communication activities towards healthcare professional. And obviously, you're naturally curious. How much, digging have you done? What were your initial thinking?
Yes, thank you, and also thank you for the introduction in the beginning. The very first time that we discussed artificial intelligence was because we had a process in place before, right? So we were piloting the idea of instead of pushing the doctors to connect to another congress, because now medical congresses are hundreds of thousands of video hours, right? That nobody can cope with. You cannot be sitting in front of your computer. So we were thinking we cannot expect the doctors to connect to those long live streamings, right? So how can we bring the content to them, right? In a way that it's easy, easily digestible, and also in a way that it's not for them waiting 2 weeks until the final summary comes, right? Which is the typical thing that many agencies do or many congresses do. So and also, even the medical societies nowadays, they're sending daily summaries, right, from their events, but they're normally done by email, and it's very text heavy and too much content. So what we were thinking was, how can we deliver this content, right? And when we came across the potential idea of doing it with a human, right? We thought maybe there is a more automated way that exists out there in the world. Someone is already doing something, and this is how we came across with SciencePod. And it was just it was not necessarily that we said we want to do artificial intelligence for the sake of it, right? It was more that we had a need and the customers had a need, and then it was a perfect match, like a perfect match between our need and the solution that SciencePod was providing. So that's why we decided to do this pilot.
Okay, so that's really interesting, because we at SciencePod are experts in creating content that's specifically designed to be compelling and engaging. And the way we came about to artificial intelligence was that because traditionally we had been creating all these, text, blog posts, infographic, podcast interview, video, and animation. And that is quite labor intensive. So we have the best medical writers, in our community, but yet we were missing that link of scaling up the creation of content and also the speed. I think what you said about the speed was a really important factor, because the speed is not something you can deliver with man-made content if you really want to turn things around quickly. So that's how we were driven to talk to experts in natural language processing. So we have a formal collaboration with Avignon Université in France. And what our lead AI partner, Juan Manuel Torres Moreno, is saying, he's been spending his lifetime trying to find better way to transform very long, complex source documentation into snackable content and shorter content. So that's where the creation came from. And it was very interesting to apply it for medical evidence, because as a pharma company, you're always conscious of the need to get evidence-based content in front of the eyes of healthcare professionals. So I think the quality assurance that was performed by your MLR team was quite important, wasn't it?
Yes, actually, and this is a great point, because something that I always mention is science and scientific relevant content. It's not against being engaging, right, and also being summarized. I know that. So we are conscious of the need of doctors to get scientific information relevant for their practice, but we also are conscious that they don't have time to read it. If we can provide it in a more digested way, they will benefit more from that, because we're already giving them something that they it's helping them in their practice, and it's not time consuming, right? Obviously, if they are more interested, they will read the complete paper. But if they don't have a need and they just need that specific information, we can be there, the partner, to give them that part of content they need. And the medical and regulatory teams, they definitely understand this part as well. And we are blessed to have them in the team, because they were not against saying this, like, oh, we can't do this, which sometimes is the mindset in many teams, but rather they were in the mindset of, this is a good point that we can do, or a good project that we can do to solve a customer need. And then they decided to find a way to approve the content on the spot, on the same day, so that we could be able to accomplish this promise, right? So that we could be compliant, so scientific, relevant, compliant with medical and legal requirements, and then on time to accomplish the promise of to deliver the content to the doctors.
Yeah, and so what was really interesting from our perspective was that on the one hand we had we were working with the Brazilian affiliate, and so we had to make a Brazilian Portuguese native speaker available to cover the event live as a man-made summary. And in parallel, because we were conscious that maybe you wanted to add value to the healthcare professional, we did an entire background search on what the speakers had previously published in the past 3 years among the open access publication. And that gave us the opportunity to create complementary content that would, add value to the healthcare professional in addition to the presentation that was made during the event. So that's how we created these automated summaries of research papers. And typically what these things look like is they are structured in a particular way, in that they give you background information. On the one hand, I'm just going to share one on the screen here. You have the keywords extracted automatically so that it's easier to find them. You have connection to the original piece, and then you have the summary itself, and then additional information in the form of highlights, snackable information. Who did the work? What did they find? How did they find it? And what's the future? So I think from that perspective, it was interesting, because we didn't do just conference coverage. We went beyond that, and we went into the literature, into the evidence base, to make sure that whatever information you were due to share was quality and evidence-based, and also double-checked by your MLR. So this was a lot of checking in the end, but I think it worked quite good. And what surprised you most about the AI when you saw it?
Well, let me tell you, the concept, it sounds like science fiction to when I explain it to people, because it's impressive. The first time I saw that the artificial intelligence working, I saw that, I mean, it's impressive to see that it makes the summary in seconds, right? So when I explain this to people here in the teams, it sounds like science fiction, and even they end up being sometimes skeptical about this, because there are many things to that, right? So they say, is it quality enough? Does it really understand? How does it work? And they have all these kind of questions, which I also had in my mind. So my first impression when I saw it working, like I said, it was impressive. But then the most important part for me was the feedback from the medical team, both local and global, because we were trying to do it blinded, so that they didn't know which summary was done by a human and which one was done by an artificial intelligence, to see if there was any difference in the summary, if they could tell which one was what. And it was true. So they said that they did identify which one was done by the artificial intelligence and which one by the human, but the level of quality they received from the artificial intelligence, it was really good. This is and I'm quoting them. They said this level of quality is really good. But moreover, if you compare the campaigns, because we were sending the emails from from the human and from the artificial intelligence. The surveys from the doctors, from the actual HCPs, they're claiming the content is highly valuable. So between the human and the artificial intelligence. So if you put them head to head, right, the end goal to provide this content to them was achieved by both at the same level. At the same level, by human and by artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you can never substitute humans by machines, but what we achieved in this case is we're able to augment the capabilities of reporting during that event. We're able to, in addition to have the live coverage by the professional medical writer, we added another layer of information. So in terms of engagement, did you find that there were variations compared to your standards engagement?
No, actually the open rates and click-through rates were very much in line with other campaigns, but the net promoter score was higher than normal. We achieved, it was closer to 100%. So this NPS, it's always 60, 70 when it's a good NPS, right? But in this case, we were surprised to see how high the value, the level, the willingness to recommend the content. But also when you look at we did a survey with the doctors afterwards, and we asked them if they were willing to receive this type of information in the future, and it was a 100% saying yes. And this is one of the first times I see this type of things, because you never see this type of response, right? So unless it's something like super amazing, like that nobody has done before, but having that all your doctors are saying, yes, I want to receive this in the future, it was something really good to learn.
Okay, so that's really a good lesson for us, because our assumption when we got into this area was to think that our audiences are so busy that they do not have time to consume content that takes 30, 40 an hour, 40 minutes an hour to read. So we have that rule of thumb that if the content takes more than 5 minutes to consume, it's not going to happen right away. Hence, we develop all these teaser material, this kind of summarized content to attract the attention of your target audience, so that they're made aware you have a more substantial piece of content that's available to them, but they need to save it for later, for that Saturday morning coffee break that they might have, for that end of the day 30 minutes of peace that they might reach. So really, the strategy here is a two-pronged strategy. First of all, we use this snackable content to attract their attention so that they set aside some time later. And also, the second aspect of our strategy is also to make sure that the content itself is designed to be compelling, because if it's not compelling, nobody's going to look at it. As you may be aware, the doctor professional gets 3,000 solicitations per month, something of that nature. So, if they're going to choose, they better choose your content, and you have to make sure they choose your content. So have you got other strategies around, making sure you stand out of the crowd when it comes to, communicating with healthcare professionals?
Yes, actually, well, I have to go back in time now after what you were saying, because we started identifying digital fatigue, right? Because this is all connected to digital fatigue as well, right? So to stand out from the crowd, to really provide this type of content, it's connected to moving away or not adding up to that digital fatigue that doctors are experiencing. So we, in the beginning, let me tell you, I can tell you one of the learnings that I have from this project. It's in the beginning, for me, digital fatigue was more connected to channels. So to avoid doing too many webinars or to avoid doing too many mailings. And then but I was not back in the day before doing this pilot. I was not connecting the dots with content completely, 100%. It was part of it, but when we talked to you, when we talked to SciencePod, and you started saying, well, one way to avoid digital fatigue is also through content. That was that for me, that was like an aha moment to say, oh my gosh, I haven't been thinking about this until now, because it's true. You can stand out from the crowd by helping, by doing this. So in our strategies, to your point, to your question, when we started including this definition of modular content in different stages of the engagement funnel, right? Because this is another point that I always make in the webinars. It's not enough to do content modular, right? You also have to connect it to a desired behavior that you want to achieve. You have to connect it to a specific segment that you're addressing, so that the content becomes much more personalized. But moreover, now after speaking with you, at what point of the journey of them are you really targeting, right? So, and then to be able to start planning content throughout the engagement funnel by segment, by channel, it's a next level thing that we are experiencing now, because the content that we're discussing today, it's I would connect it more like a evergreen content, right? It's not necessarily branded, and it's scientific and it's for medical education, but it may not be necessarily connected to your brand, right? This is focused mostly on what the doctor need and wants to learn more, right? So they're saying, I want to attend to a congress because I'm interested in learning about this. I'm interested in learning about these topics and to know more about this. It may not be necessarily talking about brands of Sanofi or therapeutic areas of Sanofi. And in your strategy, at least, I think marketers should also account for this type of content. And sometimes it's tricky. And it's tricky for me to say it as a marketing person to give up on this type of thing, but it's true. Sometimes in our strategies, we have to take it to the next level and give up the promotional part.
I mean, it's very much in line with the thinking of content marketing gurus who say, it's all about adding value to your audience. And then, by the way, you mention your brand as you go, but your brand is not at the center of the content. And I think that's a massive shift from the way people used to communicate before. And it's amazing how effective it is. I mean, we also have experience of working with global science and medical publishers, and they see the numbers go up by sharing interesting stories of the studies that they publish in more snackable format. And of course, the names of that publication appear somewhere in the text, but it's not at the forefront. And then, of course, you can also make sure that your brand colors appear in the content, and that's quite discreet. It's not in your face. It's a more subtle way of reminding people that you're here to add value to their experience. So now I think this has been really interesting, and I think we can move on to my last question, which would be about how this experience is going to change the way you engage for future digital communication, whether you're experimenting further with other technologies, whether you have other plans for the future.
Well, I think already changed it because we have been so we never stop learning, and like you said, we like to experiment. So we are like you said already looking for additional technologies that can help us take this to the next level, right? Because the objective is clear for us, at least for me. It's avoiding digital fatigue through personalization. It's something that we as pharma industry are far behind, right? So, and I'm very interested to test new technologies like this artificial intelligence to to identify what does it mean to provide a personalized experience to the doctors. One thing that I have to say is something that is going to change definitely this artificial intelligence for me. It's breaking or let's say addressing misconceptions, right? And hype, because there's a lot of hype of artificial intelligence out there, as many other things like omnichannel, and everybody talks about agile and customer experience. But so when people really look at what does it really mean, like I said, that it's not science fiction, but that it's actually something that is working. When they, at least to the people that I have shown it, it immediately makes sense for them. It's a penny dropping in their minds. I can see that, and they start thinking about how to integrate the artificial intelligence to solve needs they have, right? So we are effectively moving from, oh, let's do artificial intelligence because it's amazing and there's a lot of hype, to really, oh, I have a business need or a customer need, and this tool is going to help me address it. This is where I think this artificial intelligence is helping us change from the first part. And the second point is, from the very beginning, we had very clear that we wanted to reduce. We had very clear what we wanted to measure from this pilot, and because obviously there's obviously the risk of vanity metrics. You know, people always focus on metrics that make them feel good. So if we didn't have clear from the beginning that we wanted to reduce the time to develop content, that we wanted to achieve the same level of quality to provide to customers, and that the success was going to be measured by doctors willing to receive this content in the future, those three metrics were the same, right? And they were not vanity, right? So if we had focused on how many doctors received the summary or how many doctors opened the summary, then this is where things are not going well. So changing the other change that we're doing is looking at success in a different way, looking at success, measuring success from the customers, from how much the customer values the content we are providing, and how this artificial intelligence is helping us deliver that value.
Okay, I think that's a really good last lesson learned, is that change your metrics, change your KPIs. It's not the old-fashioned KPIs don't always apply as well as they used to, because we have new tools of measuring behavior of target audiences and things like that. So that's really a very good strong conclusion to this experience. Well, I would like to thank you very, very much for taking part in this discussion. It's been very enlightening, and we would like to invite the audience to send us questions through editor@sciencepod.net, which will relay to Tema if needs be, and get in contact. We'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you, and have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.